The saddest prison is the one built inside the mind, the bars invisible, the guard no one sees, the cell door locked from within by the prisoner himself. And the name carved into that door is always the same: ego. You don't see it when you look in the mirror. It doesn't shout like fear or weep like regret. It whispers instead that you're owed more, that you're different, that the rules don't touch you because you're smarter, stronger, sharper than the rest. And yet that whisper robs you of every quiet moment you claim to deserve. Have you ever wondered why the mind runs in circles at night? Why you replay the insult you swallowed 3 years ago? Why you craft perfect comebacks for battles that ended long before you learned how to lose gracefully? Ego is the echo that keeps old noise alive. Marcus Aurelius warned, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Yet how can you begin to live if every breath must defend an image you built like a fortress, but live inside like a cage? There's a reason solitude feels impossible for some men. Silence starves ego, and ego, like a starving thing, grows louder the less it is fed. Sit alone long enough, and you will hear it scream. You will see it flinch when there's no audience left to clap for your illusions. What makes a man lie to himself is never his lack of truth. It's his fear of seeing how small his empire really is when stripped of the praise of others. So he overthinks. He polishes excuses until they shine brighter than his failures. He compares his inside to everyone else's surface. He watches what another man has and wonders why the world forgot to bend to him the same way. And all the while, the ego whispers, if they just saw you better, they'd know your worth. But worth that must be witnessed by others is not worth at all. It's just approval in a costume. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Yet ego will twist your reaction until every insult becomes a reason to rage. Every slight becomes a wound you must make others see. It will tell you you're justified, that your anger proves your power. But true power needs no witness. The strongest man in the room is the one who has nothing left to prove when the room goes silent. Your ego wants you loud, wants you to shout back when criticized, to flaunt when praised, to cling when threatened. And all of it robs you of the one thing that can't be bought with noise: self-command. Aristotle warned, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." But ego is a clever mask for the man who fears what he'll find if he looks too long in the mirror. So he builds distractions, more pleasure, more noise, more people to tell him he's enough. But no one's praise has ever filled a man whose spine depends on it. Ask yourself, when you stand alone in your room, who are you really? If no one clapped, would you still move? If no one cared, would you still wake early, hold discipline, stay honest when the world is easy to lie to? The answer measures your freedom. If ego must be fed by eyes, ears, applause, you do not own yourself. You rent yourself out to everyone who feeds your hunger for praise. That's why betrayal cuts so deep. Not because another person lied, but because ego trusted that lie to prop up the story it told itself. Ego hates to be humbled. That is why the Stoics trained themselves in loss. They slept on the floor when they had a bed. They wore plain cloaks when they could afford silk. They let the world think them lesser, so the mind could learn it was never lesser for losing the shine. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And what is ego if not imagination's cruelest trick? It paints you king, but makes you a beggar. begging for nods that fade as soon as they are given. Real kings kneel only to truth. They bow only to reality. They do not defend illusions that fall apart in solitude. They do not chase comparison because they know no one's crown can sit on two heads. So how do you kill ego before it kills you? You starve it. You hold it in the silence. You let the praise pass through you like wind through open hands. You watch the insult land and do nothing. You let the mirror reflect what is, not what you wish they'd see. And in that quiet, the mind wakes up, naked, small, but strong enough to stand without the weight of pretending. Socrates said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." Ego hates that, because to know nothing is to admit you are not above the rest. You are just here, in this hour, doing the best you can with what you are. A man who knows that does not fear the laughter of lesser men. He does not fear to fail, because failure cannot dent a spine that does not need to stand taller than yours. Look around. Most noise is ego feeding ego. One man shouts his worth, another shouts back to God his own. But the wise man speaks less, acts quiet, wins silently, because every word not spoken is a debt ego cannot spend. Some will mistake this silence for weakness. Let them. Nothing scares ego-driven men more than the man who does not explain himself. A silent man holds the keys to himself. He stands where they fall. He does not rise when they praise him or collapse when they forget him. He stays. This is what it means to be truly free. Not freedom from the world, but freedom from the lie inside you that says you must be seen to exist. Zeno said, "Man conquers the world by conquering himself." What remains when ego dies is not emptiness. It is space. Space to build your spine in secret. Space to see another's win and feel no loss. Space to sit in a storm of voices and never flinch when they try to name you. So sit there tonight, in your own stillness. Feel the noise claw at you to speak, and don't. Feel the insult scratch your pride, and let it scratch. Feel the old habit to shout your worth rise up, and watch it die quiet on your tongue. And when the room empties, and the world forgets your name for a day, stand in that emptiness like a man who has finally begun to live. Your ego is destroying you every time you choose its noise over your own silent command. Every time you choose the trophy over the training. Every time you choose to be seen instead of to simply be. So kill it, every breath, every silence, every truth you hold that needs no audience. And when you do, watch how calm the mind becomes when it has no story left to protect.